I'm recording now. We're going to go over the exam. I need you to know that I will be grading notebooks. James, myself, and at least 4 other upperclassmen will be pulling out notebooks. We're going to have pizza on Friday for ourselves, not for you guys. Sorry. Why am I buying pizza for them? Because they're helping me. You know you're still talking, right? I literally spent 20 minutes asking you to stop talking. I'm not going to say your name, but please stop. So you need to be ready to have your notebook collected. And randomly, I'm going to collect 10 notebooks randomly. And we'll grade 10 a day until I get through all of them by the end of next week. Can we close the door so I don't have to deal with whatever's going on in that hallway? Thank you. All right. So please note, I need someone to collect the answers. Please, Brooklyn, collect all the answers. If Brooklyn does not get the answers in, 30 seconds, it's 1:15 now. If I don't get it by 1:45 on this clock, you're not going to be able to turn in. It'll be a 0 on your pretest. I see people aren't really moving. That's okay. Question? Anybody is there anyone in here who did not get a pretest? Only one person. You are going to get the answers in a minute, so you can't do the pretest. But what you're going to do, can I beg you to allow me to speak, and if you have a question to raise your hand after I speak, and then if you forget, I would beg you to please write down the question so that you don't forget. So young man, you're going to have to, whatever you get tomorrow on your test is going to be worth double. Is that clear? So it'll be worth twice. If you get a 40, then you get 2 40s. If you get 100, you get 2 100s, whatever it is. Understood? All right. Everyone else who got a pretest, I'm sorry, maybe I should have mailed you I should have mailed out the practice test, but my mother went to the hospital and I would not. I've just been busy all weekend doing that, so dealing with that. All of you that have, just to let you know, if I'm absent tomorrow, I said it's 2:45, not 1:45, right, on the clock. Should I take that from you now? Should I accept it? Maybe, maybe not.
Did you already make the key?
Oh, see that? I still got one coming up. What's up with that? I don't understand. And they're not even all the way filled in. They're like little semicircles, kind of half shaded stuff. I don't know what you think is going to happen, but if the Scantron doesn't read it, it's whatever it is.
You didn't make the key, did you?
No, not yet. You can't grade them, unfortunately. Hold on a second. All right. So now, looking at the cell underneath the microscope, you note that this is a prokaryote. That is a prokaryote. How do you know it's a prokaryote? Answer? No nucleus. It lacks a nucleus. Can we go over the other answers really quickly, though? Because when you get a practice test, let me give you a clue right now. Knowing the right answer is not as important as knowing why the answer's right, and also knowing why the others aren't right. Because you're not going to get the same question on the actual exam as you did on the practice exam. And for this to be a true learning moment, you have to go through which ones do I understand, which one's right, but also why are the wrong ones wrong? It's really, if you're not willing to do that effort, make that effort to do that, then you're going to get the grade you deserve. So let's go through these. Number 1, I want you to write this down on your test. The cell lacks a nucleus. Also, prokaryotes one thing about prokaryotes is that they lack.
Is it a C or a K?
It could be either one. I told you that in the beginning, remember that? Prokaryotes lack any membrane. Don't leave here thinking they don't have membranes. I didn't say that. Membrane-bound organelles. Very good. What does that mean? That means they don't have Golgi body. They don't have a nucleus because the nucleus is membrane-bound. No Golgi body, no endoplasmic reticulum, right? They have DNA. Another thing that I saw someone write on their cell project, I saw it. I didn't say anything at the time. I made a correction. But I'm going to tell you this. I saw people say, well, they don't have a nucleus, so they don't have DNA. That's not true. They have DNA. It's circular. It's not straight like ours. It's circular. But they have no nucleus, but they do have DNA. Don't make that mistake. It's a common mistake. Good. I hope you get it right tomorrow. Now, yeah.
1% surface number out of number.
Percents. Yeah. They have a cell membrane. That's right. If they don't have a cell membrane, it's not a cell. In order for it to be a cell, it has to have a cell membrane. So the cell lacks a cytoplasm. If the cell had no cytoplasm, it wouldn't be a cell. So not only is that not the answer, it's also wrong. B says it lacks a cell membrane. If it doesn't have a cell membrane, then it's not a cell. Forget about prokaryote or eukaryote. If it doesn't have a cell membrane, it's not a cell at all. Cell lacks genetic material means it doesn't have DNA or RNA. Is that true for prokaryotes? No. No, it's not true for any life. All life has genetic information. That's one of the characteristics of life. All day people do that. I don't know what's going on.
So you smack yourself in the head.
Is that what's happening? Because you don't want to mess up your hair? That's why you say it? Girls suffer for fashion all the time. I don't understand. I would scratch the heck out of it. All right. So which of the following enclose their DNA in a nucleus? Hey, you know what? If you knew number one, you know number two. So prokaryotes don't, bacteria don't, and viruses are not even cells. They don't have cell membranes. They don't have organelles, or most of them don't have cell membranes. Most of them don't have membranes. They don't have a cell membrane because they're not cells. They don't have organelles. No, they're not cells. Viruses are not cells. Viruses, let me write that down, are, and it's a whole page on it was a whole day's worth of information on our cell project was viruses are not cells. Look at that chart. It's one of the first things you did in the cell project. And by the way, I sent you the right answers, didn't I? Yeah. Angelina's answers with corrections. So make sure you pay attention to her work. Do I have questions? Yeah. One question. Who has an important question? All right, go ahead.
When are you going to be done writing those? Because I wanted to get mine back so I can study it.
What, you can take it now. You should have taken it on Friday, handed them back Friday.
I don't think hers was graded that day.
Take them back today and give it back to me after the test. You should. I wanted everyone to give it back to me after the test. Take it today. I wanted everyone to take it on Friday. I told you to come back and get it. People did.
I came back, but I mean, it was like a lot of people tried it.
Right. So I understand. It looked like there was a lot of people here that were. If you can't wait, you should just say, hold on, I can't wait. Can I grab my cell package? I wanted you to have it. Anyways, you got the answers at home. It's in Jupiter Grades. I sent them to you Friday night, right? So you got them. You can go over them. You don't really need your package, but you can have it tonight if you want. All right. Not all cells are alike. We all agree on that? A major idea. Which of the following is not a true statement about differences between cells? Well, let's go one at a time. I don't want to agree or disagree with you. Let's say cells come in many different shapes. Do we agree? Yes. So because it's true, it's not the answer, right? See, don't please, if I were you, I would pay extra attention to these words not, because that's how kids get things wrong all the time. right? So they think A is true, so they circle it, that's it, it's A, and they move on. But A is true, but it's not answering the question. Different kinds of cells are different sizes. That's true. It's true, but is that the answer? No, because we want something that's not a true statement. Some cells have a nucleus, others don't. True. And you know what? Did you see that there's 3 questions, and the first 3 questions have to do with that? Oh my goodness. Most cells have a membrane, but some do not. That's false, and that's why that's the answer. That's good. I'm glad. I mean, remember that I want you to be confident. I want you, that's why I give you a practice test. I want you to know what you're doing and walk in and do well on tests. But understand, why is someone's interrupting all day long? There hasn't been a period. All right, number 4. Which of the following organisms are prokaryotes? Bacteria are prokaryotes. Bacteria are the only prokaryotes here. But what are the 2 types of prokaryotes? We have bacteria and we have what? Somebody said it, they know. Archaebacteria, right? Those are the three archaebacteria, the three type domains of life, right? What are the 3 domains of life? Anybody? That's it. Prokaryote, eukaryote, and archaebacteria. That's right. And you know what? I don't know. I always spell it like this. I don't know why. It's annoying to me. But it's R. I just looked at it. I said, that's wrong. It's R-A. First of all, it's R key, or K, if you want, bacteria. Yeah. So there's 3 domains of life. The difference between these 2 is there's many chemical differences. And archaebacteria, they're still prokaryotes, they still don't have a nucleus, but archaebacteria live in extreme conditions. They live in salt water, and that was in the packet. That's right. So not lava, but really hot water. Yeah. Yeah. So that's all those 3 domains. Okay. So there's bacteria. Now eukaryotes include what? Plants, animals, and fungi. And what's the one that's not listed here that is the 4th? Also, what? What's the 4th? Plants, animals, fungi. Also, protista. Or let's just say protists. Single-celled eukaryotic organisms that we call protists. They're varied. They have many. Some have cell walls, some don't. Some are heterotrophic, some are autotrophic, right? Very, very, very diverse group, right? But they're all eukaryotes. So the only ones that are prokaryotes are bacteria or archaebacteria. That's it. All right. Are we good? I'm going to send it to you. All right? But I don't have time. We have to keep going. I'm sorry. All right. I don't want you to rush. I want you to do it right. If just getting it done is not enough. Which of the following conclusions could you draw from the cell shown in figure 7-1? Let's take a look at it. 7-1, there it is. Look at it. Think about it. It's your typical cell. Is it a plant cell? No. How do you know? No cell wall. How do you know there's no cell wall? First of all, I don't see one drawn. Secondly, they're usually kind of geometric. They have sharp corners. And that's it. Also, I don't see chloroplasts. You remember chloroplasts they look more like this. Do you remember? And you should know what they look like. They have like kind of those little circle things or stacks. They look like coins. That's right. We call them thylakoids. So actually, they're called granum that are made up of thylakoids. But anyways, there's these stacks of membranes in chloroplasts. We don't see any of those, do we?
No.
Okay, so because we don't have those, that's another clue that this is not a plant. This is an animal. All right, animal cell rather. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's not an animal cell, but we know it's not a plant cell, right?
Right.
And there's no cell wall, so that means it's not what? It's not a plant cell. It's not what else? What else has a cell wall? Fungi, so it's not a fungi. What else has a cell wall? Bacteria, so it's not a bacteria. And by the way, it's not a prokaryote at all, is it? Because it has a nucleus. It has do you see all the membrane-bound organelles? Do you see them? Here's one. This is all membrane-bound, 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 rough and smooth, right? These are membrane-bound vesicles. The only organelles that aren't membrane-bound are ribosomes and centrioles. Those don't have chloroplast does have membranes, right? So we know it's not a prokaryote. So we know it's not bacteria, archaebacteria. We know it's not a plant cell. We know it's not a fungal cell. Could it be a protist? Why not? Because I carry it. Yeah, protist is a eukaryote. Very good. I love your discussion. Protist is a eukaryote. Now, see, that's the danger. There it is. That's it. She just said it. I'm glad she said it now and not tomorrow on the test. Protist, and the other word is prokaryote. My goodness, if you don't understand that they sound alike. This one is eukaryotic. This one is a bacteria, all right, or it's a what? Archaebacteria. Here we go with the spelling again. R-A-E bacteria. All right, so archaebacteria or bacteria, okay? So it's really important that you know the difference between those two. When you see protist, it's single-celled eukaryotic cell. And a prokaryote is a single-celled creature, just like a protist is, but it's prokaryotic. Even though, here's the difference. Are you ready? Trying to use that house analogy. This is a shack. One room, one house, one room.
One bath.
Everything in one room. A protist is one house with many rooms. An animal, a plant, and a fungi can be made of many houses and many rooms in each house. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Multicellular. This is single-celled. This is single-celled. I don't have time to go over all that again. I'm going to ask you to go back and review the answers that we went over and over again. To go back and review your notes and know that for tomorrow, though. All right. So which of the following conclusions can you draw from that cell? The cell is eukaryotic because it has a nucleus. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, that's it. The cell is prokaryotic because it has a nucleus. No, that can't be it. Because prokaryotes don't have a nuclei.
You know, I remember that pro, because like, it's before.
That's right. And karyote means nucleus, so it's before nucleus, right? Absolutely. That's right. Eukaryotic means it has a nucleus. So eukaryotic because it doesn't have a nucleus. No, right? These are false, and they're not the right answer. But it's not always true. Sometimes the answer can be true and still not be the right answer. So the next one, it says the cell is prokaryotic because it does not have a nucleus. Well, that's true. A prokaryote does not have a nucleus, but that's not what this cell is. You see the trickiness of this? You see how people get to circle this one instead of this one because they read this and they said that's true, and they circle it. Well, you didn't think about the question, right? So be careful on the test. On the actual exam, be careful on the test. This is wrong, not because it's not true, but because it's not true about this cell. All right. Let's look at the next one. Which of the following is a function of the nucleus? Go. Stores DNA. Boom. You can say also has the nucleolus, which is another, but that's another organelle. What stores sugar? The starch granules, right? Granules. We can call them. Can we just in general use the word vesicle? Vesicles store stuff. So a food vesicle has what in it? Food. They could have protein or fat, but sugar or some kind of food. So vesicles store things. Thank you, James. Which of the following best describes? You can give them theirs back. Are they all scanned in here?
Yeah.
No, I better keep them because I need to go. Sometimes I can't read their handwriting.
When we get them back, can we just pass them back to you?
Do you grade these? We just looking.
This is where we're in 20 minutes in. We're only on number 7. This is how the side conversation. It's 2:51. Do we really want to keep going down this road?
No, keep going.
Thank you. She's right, or he's right. Whoever said that. Whatever. I don't know who said it. Can we move on? It was a she then. Which of the following is a function of the nucleus? We already said stores DNA, but again, when you're going over a practice test, the way it becomes powerful is if you know why the wrong ones are wrong, not just which one's the right answer. So change your mindset on that. So builds protein. What builds protein? Ribosomes. But also the RER. Why does the RER make proteins? Excellent, excellent. Because what's on the RER that makes it rough? Ribosomes, and that's what ribosomes do. They're RNA that make protein. So they're enzymes that make proteins. Packages the proteins. What packages that protein? The Golgi apparatus. The Golgi. The Golgi apparatus acts like the post office. That's what people used to say in middle school. The Golgi apparatus is the post office, right? So the RER is a manufacturer. They're the factory. They produce proteins, and the smoothie R wraps them in vesicles to get sent to the Golgi, but also it makes lipids. It modifies the protein, all that kind of stuff. The Golgi gets it ready to go. All your proteins in your blood are made in cells. Your blood doesn't make anything. The blood is just a fluid, a solution. Your red blood cells, your white blood cells, they make their own proteins. But when you have these pancreas, what does a pancreas make? Anybody know? Makes what? Insulin. Insulin's a protein. Insulin is necessary for your cells to take in glucose. It has to get into your blood because that's where the glucose is. If you don't have enough insulin, your blood sugar goes up. Too high blood sugar, you got problems. So, how do you get the insulin from inside the cell into your blood? The Golgi body. The Golgi packages it up and sends it into the blood. Are we clear? If the protein's made for the membrane, your cell membrane, it goes to the Golgi body, and where does the Golgi send it? To the cell membrane. The Golgi body packages it and sends it. All right, so that's it for packaging. Just like the post office, is what we said. So again, number 6, how did we learn there? Not only did we learn from knowing what the right answer was, we learned a lot from the wrong answers. Number 7, which of the following best describes the relationship between the nucleus and the cytoplasm? People say C or A?
I said A.
Let's go over it.
At first I said A, then my mom said no.
All right, I'm glad your mama said, well, look and see. I'm glad I love the fact that you're talking to your parents. I love it when you talk to people outside, other people in the classroom, after you tried to answer it on your own, right? So the cytoplasm is a fluid that fills the inside of the nucleus. No. The cytoplasm is the fluid that's inside the cell. The nucleus sits in that fluid. So the fact is that A is wrong, because the cytoplasm is not inside the cell, inside the nucleus. It's in the cell, but not the nucleus. It's outside the nucleus, right? And then the fluid in the nucleus is called nucleoplasm.
So, this way,
Oh, I got that one wrong.
cytoplasm is out, is in.
Cytoplasm is the liquid in the cell, right? Nucleoplasm is the liquid in, nucleoplasm is the liquid in the nucleus. So the word plasm means the liquid part. Cyto means cell. So cyto means cell. I think it's Greek, but don't quote me on that. The cytoplasm is an organelle that is usually found in the nucleus, near the nucleus.
I said no.
It's not an organelle, it's a liquid, right? It's a region. I mean, it's a liquid, literally the liquid. It's not really an organelle per se. And it's not just near the nucleus, it's inside the cell. It is near the nucleus, but it's near everything inside the cell. The nucleus is an organelle that is surrounded by the cytoplasm. Well, that's absolutely correct. So C is absolutely correct, but let's make sure it's not D, right? The nucleus is a fluid that mixes with this fluid cytoplasm. No, what separates the cytoplasm from the nucleus? The nuclear membrane. The nuclear membrane. You're right that the rough endoplasmic reticulum surrounds the nucleus as well, but the nucleus is defined by a nuclear membrane. I'm noting that some people are not right taking notes, and it seems to be the same people that don't do well on exams. I'm just saying. And remember, these notebooks are going to start getting graded very soon.
Well, you guys are very good.
All right, which of the following statements is about the nucleus is not true? Nucleus stores the coded information for making the cell's proteins. That is true. Okay, so this is true, but what are they asking you for? Not true, right? So that's one of those tricky questions, and there's only going to be one of these that's not true. So the nucleus usually contains a nucleolus region, which is where ribosome assembly begins. That's true. The nucleolus is where you deal with RNA and specifically the ribosomes, right? That's where we start to make them. All right. RNA. Ribosomes are made of RNA. And specifically, that's where we start assembling ribosomes. Huh? RNA. RNA. The nucleus is the site of protein assembly. That's false. Protein assembly does not happen inside the nucleus. It happens where? In the ribosomes. And where are the ribosomes? The rough endoplasmic reticulum and in the cytoplasm. So that protein assembly happens in the cytoplasm or on the rough endoplasmic reticulum.
So wouldn't that be the right answer?
Right, if it's false.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
That is false. All right, so C is false. And so because it's false, and it's not true, so that is the answer we want, right?
But you said, it does not happen in the nucleus, right?
It does not happen in the nucleus.
It happens.
In a rough endoplasmic reticulum or in the cytoplasm. Anywhere there's a ribosome, right? Ribosomes, they start to be made in the nucleus, but they're not put together until after they leave the nucleus. We understood all that?
Yeah.
And the nucleus is surrounded by a nuclear envelope that lets materials in and out. That's true. That nuclear envelope is also called the nuclear membrane, right? So, we're all good with this?
Yeah.
You notice how much we learned from the wrong answers?
That's what I was
Very good. Which organelle breaks down organelles that are no longer useful? Let me rephrase it another way. Which of these is a killer? A murderer. The assassin. So this is it.
Isn't it poisonous?
It destroys everything it comes into contact with. So a lysosome, the whole point of it is let's say you eat some food, you have to break it down. Who's going to break it down for you? The lysosome. If you get a bacteria in your cell for some reason, or a virus is in your cell, and your cell has to protect itself against it, what's going to attach to it? So the lysosome uses to attack and destroy anything. When you die, why does your body start to decompose, start to break down? Besides that, normally everything breaks down, but lysosomes that break open, they release those enzymes that break anything down. Proteins, carbohydrate, polymers, all polymers get broken down by these things. Yeah. Not stomach acid. Stomach acid, you're right, helps with digestion, but this is an enzyme. We'll talk about enzymes right after this test. One of our first we have 2 labs this week. One's going to be with bubbles, and the other one's going to be with enzymes. I hope we can do both, but it really depends on you guys. And remember, Friday, we have Friday meetings. So, which organelle breaks down organelles? Okay, Golgi Apparatus does what?
It,
Packages. Tags and delivers. Well, it sends away and sends, right? So it tags it so it knows where to go. Endoplasmic reticulum does what? It creates. Let's say, can I say instead of creates, let me scratch that out and say produces. Proteins, right? Modifies them. And as well as some lipids, right? Lipids, proteins are made there, they're modified there, and they're sent away to the Golgi body to get tagged and packaged and sent away. Ribosomes, yeah, because where are the ribosomes? On which endoplasmic reticulum? The rough. Do you all understand that the rough and the smooth are actually one thing? Yeah. So think of it like a giant maze, right? And you're walking, you see those mazes with bushes? Yeah. So you're walking through this maze of bushes like in Harry Potter, right? You're walking through this maze of bushes. And then all of a sudden, the tunnel's continuous. You see the bushes go away and you're left with like flowers, but you still got walls. So the walls change, but they're still the same tunnel, still the same maze. Does that make sense?
Yes. It's like when you put glitter on a paper.
All right. Okay, I never thought of it that way. I'll have to think on that. But just the point is that it's a bunch of tunnels made by membranes. The rough, what's the difference between the rough and the smooth? Ribosomes on the rough, they're making the protein. It doesn't know ribosomes. The smooth is making the lipids, the fat parts. So it's making the fat parts, it's modifying them, changing the proteins that were made in the rough endoplasmic reticulum, etc. What did mitochondria do? Right. It deals with the energy. It uses, it eats, it uses, it changes, converts. It converts food into ATP, really is what it does. It's part of the process. It's not the whole process. But Mike's, I can't believe that happened. What? Why is this not? Hold on. All right, which of the following is a function of a cytoskeleton? Quick. A, helps it keep its shape. That's it. Shape and structure, shape and structure. What contains the DNA? Nucleus. What surrounds the cell? Cell wall, kind of, yes, but what else? Even in a plant, in prokaryote, cell membrane. All cells. If it's all cells, it's cell membrane. And what helps it make proteins? Ribosomes and rough endoplasmic reticulum, or at least ribosomes. Which structures are involved in cell movement? Microtubules and microfilaments. What does the cytoplasm and what does cytoplasm do? It doesn't have anything to do with movement. The ribosome certainly not, right? Nucleolus, they store DNA. The nucleolus handles RNA, and the chromosomes. What's going on there? Chromosomes are DNA. They are DNA. Chromosomes are DNA that have been wound up, braided, like girls braid their hair, some boys braid their hair. So braiding hair is just exactly what you do in the nucleus. You braid it into really, really, really tight weaves. And we call those tight weaves, literally, I'm not making that up. You wrap them around these things called histones, and these tight weaves are called chromosomes. That's it. You let it all loose, we call it chromatin, but we'll talk about that later.
So, okay, see,
Microtubules and microfilaments are movement. They're part of the cytoskeleton, a movement. Check out the cells, the cell project. They tell you. I can help you later. All right, which structure makes proteins using coded instructions that come from the nucleus? Ribosome. The vacuole holds food, right? Mitochondria, energy, convert energy. Or I hate those little things because people say powerhouse, but they never really know what it does. But it is a powerhouse of the cell. You can think of it that way. It's converting the food into ATP. The Golgi apparatus, what's it doing? Packaging. All right, moving on. All right, so we're done with 2. That's pretty good. Where'd I put the 4th? I think, did we do this one? Where's the other one? I don't know where I put that.
Right there. Right there.
This is it?
Yeah. No, the big one is about.
Oh, it's here. There it is. It's inside this one. Do you see it? I don't know how that happened, but it's there. I must have combined them somehow. What, this one? The first page is inside the second page now for some reason. All right. Which organelle converts the chemical energy stored in food into compounds that are more convenient for cell use? Go. Mitochondria, easy as pie. Endoplasmic reticulum. I don't have to go over these again, right? What about chloroplasts? What do they do?
It helps plants with photosynthesis. Yes, I said that.
She's supposed to say that.
Oh, wow. Okay, we'll just go ahead and ignore that. Unfortunately, I have to post this, so I hope nobody asks me who said that. So make food, light, sugar, and chemical energy. So chloroplasts are doing the opposite of mitochondria, right? And let me be very clear. Plants have both chloroplasts and mitochondria. One other really big misconception that kids leave ninth grade biology with is that plants have chloroplasts and animals have mitochondria. That's not true. Animals have mitochondria, that's true, but plant cells have chloroplasts and mitochondria.
Animal cells don't have chloroplasts.
That's right. Animal cells don't have chloroplasts, is correct. Which organelles are involved in energy conversion?
Mitochondria and chloroplasts.
The mitochondria and chloroplast. Now, even though chloroplasts convert energy, they convert energy into a storage form, into a form of energy that the cell don't use right away. The mitochondria turn that energy we call sugar into energy the cell can use right then and there. Mitochondria and ribosomes, no, because of the ribosome, right? We already went through what these functions are, right? Smooth and rough endoplasmic reticulum, no, we know what they do. It's not energy conversion. Golgi apparatus and chloroplasts. The chloroplasts, yes, but not the Golgi apparatus, so no, not this one. We're good?
Yeah.
All right. Which organelle would you expect to find in plant cells but not animal cells? Chloroplasts. Now, let me ask you this. Of course, a plant cell has all the rest, so does an animal cell. Can I ask you then, what organelles do plant cells have besides chloroplasts that animal cells don't? Well, cell wall. But by the way, what other organisms have cell walls? We know some protists. Don't forget, not all protists have cell walls. Some protists. Some are plants, obviously. We said, what else? Fungi. What else has a cell wall? Yeast, which is a fungi, right? So one form of fungi is yeast. Very good. And of course, we have bacteria have cell walls. You know what else? Archaea. That includes Archaeobacteria. So to be clear, almost everything has a cell wall. Some protists don't, and animal cells don't. So what's the difference between all those cell walls in these different organisms? What's the difference between the cell wall in a plant and a fungi and a bacteria and archaeobacteria? What is it? It's when you're dealing with plants, you're dealing with cellulose. When you're dealing with bacteria and others, you have chitin and you have peptidoglycan. So what the cell wall is made of is different in each type. Is that clear?
So they all different. So all different.
No, they all do the same thing, but they're just made of different stuff. It's like a brick house and a wood house, right? Yeah. Which two?
I mean, the different types that they're made of.
No, don't worry about it. You can find it in your cell package, in your cell activity. But the key is peptidoglycan, chitin, and cellulose are all in there. So you guys can take a look at that and decide which of these, which one's which. Do you have to know that plants are cellulose and the rest of these, no. I don't, you don't need to know that for my test. But just know that there are differences, even though they all have cell walls. Chloroplast, cell wall, right? Anything else that a plant has that an animal doesn't? Starch granules, I like that. Starch, period, right? Any starch is only plants. What else? There's one more big thing. Biggest thing in, come on.
A large vacuole?
That's right, large central vacuole. It's going to be usually one of the biggest organelles in a plant cell that allows it to hold what does a vacuole do? Store things, store water, sugar, or whatever it is. So a lot of the starch is actually found in the central vacuole.
Animals still have vacuum.
We have vacuoles, but it's not a large central vacuole. So animals do have vacuoles, but not a large central vacuole. What came first, the plant or the animal? Oh, you're very sure about that, are you? Now keep thinking about that, because when we talk about evolution, we'll be getting into long-term discussions. So let me ask you: do you think that science has proven which came first, the chicken or the egg? The chicken or the egg? Which came first?
Oh, we don't know.
Oh, we know.
The thing that came
The egg came first.
Because the chicken came out there.
The reason.
Who laid the egg? Not the cock.
I love that. Dinosaurs is the right answer. That's right. You're laughing. Hey, wow.
Shut up.
Wow. I loved it. I always love mentioning this. I love having a discussion about it, but I just can't. It's just time is going. It's 3:13 already, and we're only on question 21. So, again, I'm going to continue. I will finish this video, and then I'll post it. So anything we don't cover in class, you have to cover at home. Sorry. So, the egg came first. And how do you explain how can there be an egg if there was no chicken to lay it? Yes?
Basically, so because of the way evolution works, it's generation by generation. So some animal laid that chicken egg, and then the chicken hatched.
That's right. So we call it mutations, right? We had mutations. So there's some animal that lays eggs. It could be a dinosaur, because birds are dinosaurs. So it's probably some bird that's not a chicken, laid an egg, but that egg, there was a mutant in there. It wasn't like its parents. It was different. It was the first chicken. Does that make sense? So which came first, the chicken or the egg? The egg. And so which came first, the plant cell or the animal cell? I need you to think about it, because you're going to have a debate on it. And whatever you want, but you better have a good reasoning for it. It's the reasoning that I'm interested in. But I know the answer, and I'll tell you, at least we think we know what the answer is. Don't look it up, because it's not going to help you. The question is, why do you think so? The why is what's important. Can you defend it? Because you're going to have a debate. A debate means that you have to defend it. So moving on. The primary function of the cell wall is to what?
Support and protect the cell.
Support and protect the cell. Cell wall, support and protect the cell is correct. Structure, structure, and support. Structure and support. Not to store DNA, not to direct activities of the cell. What directs the activities of the cell?
The Golgi Apparatus.
DNA,
Oh.
the nucleus.
Oh, wait, no, the Golgi.
The Golgi, this is vesicles. If you did not know this, you better start learning it. You got a few hours. To help the cell move, that's the cytoskeleton. All right. So that's not it, and that's not it. Unlike the cell membrane, the cell wall is a rigid structure. Cell membrane is very fluid. It's not, the cell membrane is selectively permeable. The cell membrane is made of lipid bilayer. The cell membrane is found in all organelles. You will not find a cell wall in which of these kinds of organisms? Animals. We just talked about that. And of course, you find a cell wall in all the rest, right? Including what? Which one has a cell wall that's not listed here? Proteins, that's right. Not all proteins, but some proteins. Very good. Which of the following structures serve as a cell boundary from its environment? Cell membrane. The membrane is the true separator. All the rest of these are not. Which of the following function is a cell membrane? Is a function of the cell membrane? Regulates the movement of materials into and out of the cell is correct. Cell wall, keeps the cell wall in place, no, that's a cytoskeleton. Stores these things, no, that's vesicles. Breaks down lipids, no, that's lysosome, right?
Right.
All right, so we're on the last page. Unfortunately, I don't know if we're gonna have time. I will finish, I'm gonna take a 3-minute break.
Is that,
What-
wait,
Yeah,
one more question. Is 34 reproduction? What?
I'll answer after the break.
I swear it was.
Finishing the test up, trying to get ready for the test tomorrow. I hope everyone here is going to cooperate because we don't have any, nobody wants to stay later than we already are. It's 3:23 p.m. Everyone wants to go home. Remember, the video will be posted. Remember that the cell project from last week, review that information because you may see a lot of it again. There's maybe 2 questions on the test that's going to be from that particular activity. Are we good? All right. Which of the following activities is not a way that unicellular organisms maintain homeostasis?
Cell specialization.
Cell specialization. Why is cell specialization the answer? What is cell specialization? Go ahead. Someone is not in second period. Thank you.
And it's like when the cell is assigned to a specific task.
Yes, excellent. And why is a unicellular organism, right, an organism that only has one cell, why can't it be specialized?
Because it has to do everything. They don't have multiple cells.
That is perfect. That's the perfect answer. Excellent. Oh my God, I hope, does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Because that's I couldn't have said it better. It's because they have to do everything. That's right. So they have to do everything. So it's a cell specialization is the one thing that unicellular organisms don't do to maintain homeostasis. Now, I would argue that there's some other things that it can't do, like grow or reproduce, in the sense that we don't the way we grow, and of course reproduction is a way to replace its population, but it doesn't really maintain its own homeostasis that way. And of course, respond to the environment, it does. So these are not the answer, but the one that's definitely, or rather, not the answer to the question, right? This is the answer to the question because single cells can't specialize. Do we agree? They do all the other 3. Is everybody okay with that? All right, you want me to zoom in a little bit? Is that better? Which term describes the relatively constant internal physical conditions of an organism? Homeostasis. Could someone close that door? So, what about cell specialization? Well, that just explains how you go from a single cell to an organism that has eyes and nose and teeth and guts and hearts and muscle. So that just explains what's going on there. Organ systems, that again, we're talking about describes a relatively constant internal physical conditions. There's only one answer, and that's homeostasis. Obviously, an organ system, a group of organs. Cell specialization is how cells specialize into different functions in an organism. And unicellularity is how you can have an organism that is single cell, right?
You say that's one.
Unicellular organ is when organisms have one cell, only one cell. So things like protists, prokaryotes, they're all unicellular.
Protein or protein?
Protists. Proteins aren't organisms, right? All right. The cells of unicellular organisms are what? Be careful, unicellular. That's right. C is the answer. And it actually, I don't want to say who you are because I'm going to post this. So, you said the answer just a little earlier, right? And that's what they do. Now, how could I change this on a test? What if I change this from unicellular to multicellular? Oops, right? I'd have to change some of the answer choices, but I could easily change that question just like that and still ask the same basic idea, right? Specialized for different tasks? No, because it's unicellular. If it were multicellular, then yes, that would be a possibility. Larger than the multicellular organ, unicellular organisms generally are smaller, the cells. Unable to respond to changes in their environment. If they could not respond to the environment, they wouldn't be alive, right? That's one of the definitions of life. We agree? Which of the following is an example of an organ? Easy one. Huh? If it's tissue, it's not an organ. An organ is made of many tissues. So a heart is made of cardiac tissue, cardiac muscle. It's made of many different kinds of tissues, right? But an organ is called the heart. One example of an organ is a heart. Epithelial tissue is not an organ. It's tissues. It's one type of tissue that helps create things like the skin, which is the biggest organ in your body. The digestive system is more than one organ, so that's not the answer. And a nerve cell is just a cell. It's not a whole organ, right? So remember, it goes from cell, do you remember that, to tissue. Do you remember this or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. To organ,
Organ system.
that's right, to organ system. There was a reason I told you to know that, wasn't there? All right. A group of similar cells that perform a particular function is called what? Tissue. That's right. That's a tissue. Now, a bunch of tissues together is an organ. A bunch of organs together, organ system. All right, so that's why these are wrong here. Division labor is just doesn't belong. An organ system is a group of organs that work together, right? To perform a similar. And if you got this one right and you got the others wrong, you have to learn that test-taking technique of sitting there. Listen, guys, I see some of you rushing through these tests, right? Do you all know that? Like, I've given kids 2 hours extra time on the exam, and they turn it in faster than kids that they had only an hour to turn in. Like, they come in half an hour, 40 minutes into the test, they hand it to me. You had 2 hours, take the 2 hours. Analyze the questions, and take a break, come back to it. Think about what is the many ways that I can read this to get the right answer. Yeah. Good question. Work together to perform a specific function. You know what? It's actually not D, right? Because that doesn't make sense. See, You put C? Yeah. It's not B, for sure. But hold on. So I said in class the answer was D as well. Now we're in tutoring and I'm looking and somebody's pointing out, why is it not C? It says work together to perform a specific function, work together to perform all the functions in a multicellular organism. See, this is not true, right?
Because, wouldn't it be an organ system make up organism?
Yeah, many organ systems, right? So it actually takes a number of organs. So A, and this is the tricky part. It says an organ system. So one singular organ system, one organ system works together to perform a specific function. So it is C. The D would be all the organ systems.
So on the Scantron, I still got it wrong.
Hold on. All organ systems together work to perform right? So it takes all the organ systems together to make that work. On the Scantron, I'll just change the key and the computer will regrade it. Don't worry. You'll get the grade you earned. Work together, so D is wrong. Good job. Which list represents the levels of organization in a multicellular organism from the simplest to the most complex? Cell, that's right. So again, if you knew D, why did you get some of those that were above it wrong?
Wait, I got a question though.
Yeah.
So, like, when I was doing this over the weekend,
Uh-huh.
I didn't understand exactly how that was from the simplest level to the most complex. Like, when I read it, it makes sense. Like, it sounds like that will go from simplest to complex, but I don't actually understand why.
Okay, so let's think about it. So if we look at a cell, it's made of one cell. Let's say it's eukaryotic, right? It's doing something. It's just doing it one thing, one cell all by itself. Now, if you go to tissues, it could have several million to a billion cells. All right, several million to a billion cells, all working together, exchanging material, signaling, producing stuff. They're all communicating and working with each other. That's a tissue. Isn't that more complicated than a cell?
Yeah.
All right, so then once we get tissue, now we got different kinds of tissue. Let's say I'm going to draw a really bad heart, okay? I'm going to draw a really pretty horrible heart, actually. Not like that. That's awful. So 4 chambers, right? And there's some tissue. Each tissue is going to be a different color. So you got a blue valves. The valves are all made of different tissue. The red is going to be the muscle. So this is all muscle here, right? And there's some cords. There's some connective tissue that it connects the. So all this is going on in a cell. This is a really bad drawing of it, but all these different tissues. The heart is not just made of one tissue. It's made of many different tissues all coming together to work together to make a heart work. So that's more complicated, isn't it? And that's an organ system. It's not just the heart. Then you got the heart, the veins. Oh,
Is that like lungs or something?
the veins, the arteries. Depending on who you talk to, you'd have to talk about the lungs. Don't forget the blood. Yeah, you got, well, this is the atrium, that's the ventricle, this is the atrium and ventricle. So you have, all this is going on. Then you got muscles in the arteries and the veins. I mean, just all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Isn't that more complicated as you're going onto an organ system?
Yeah.
And as you go on to an organism, that's a many organ systems all working together. You're talking about an organism like a human, right? Especially a human, it's even more complicated. See why a doctor has to be specialized and know every step? Because as you go, a doctor is dealing with this creature over here, right? Is dealing with this. A cell biologist is just dealing with this. So you as an organism, a doctor trying to treat you as a patient has to deal with everything that's going on. And it's not just one organ, it's an organ system, and then what's going on with the blood, what's going on with the veins, the arteries, the lungs, the heart.
Well, that makes sense.
So it's all, every level is more complicated as you go up. So this is what we call the hierarchy of hierarchy of life, right?
Yeah. I knew that answer was right, but I figured like if somebody was to ask me that, I wouldn't be able to explain. I wouldn't be able to explain.
Can you explain now though? That as you increase the number of, let me put it this way. If you're in your backyard, let's say you're lucky and you have a basketball hoop in your backyard, and you got your basketball and you're playing, I don't know, whatever game you were playing by yourself. That's simple, right? Is it your friend comes over and they want to play basketball with you? Doesn't it get a little more complicated?
Yeah.
Now all your neighbor kids are on. Now you got 5 kids playing a game of pickup,
Yeah.
right? Isn't that even more complicated? Now the whole neighborhood's over the house because you're the only one with the basketball hoop. They close down the park or whatever. Everybody wants to play at your house. Isn't that even more complicated?
Yeah.
So every time you increase the number of individuals involved in something, there's a lot more things that can go on. You can get fights. You can get arguments over the rules. You can, it's my turn, it's my turn, it's my turn, right?
Yeah.
So everything gets more complicated as you increase the number of individuals. That's all you're doing here, is you're going from one single cell by itself, and you're increasing the number of individuals involved in that system.
Isn't that basically like a human?
Yeah, a human would be up here, an organism. That's why we're so complicated. We're very complicated. But now we can complicate it even more. One single human is one thing. But what happens when we add a whole class of students? Now that's even more complicated, right? Now you add a whole city. That's even more complicated. A whole country. Wow, that's even more country. A whole world. That's even more complicated, right? So every time you add another component, you're adding complexity. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. Questions? Are we good with this?
I don't understand the convention macrometers to,
What is it now?
the problem right there.
Which one?
She's talking about
Oh,
the
the
1,000
micrometers.
micrometers.
Oh, that's.
Oh, you don't understand how to convert?
The 3 by 1,000. I did.
That's right, but be careful because I could throw a trick on. This is an easy one for me to trick you. So if I have 1,000, I'm not going to try to trick you, but you can get tricked. I'm not trying to trick you, but I'm not going to give you the same question either. So micrometer, 1,000 micrometers, and I want to convert it to millimeters, right? Now, it can get really complicated, but I'm not going to keep it, I'm not going to make it complicated. I'm only going to keep one thing at a time, like I told you. So I'm going to tell you how many micrometers in a millimeter. Huh? 1,000. And I tell you that, don't I? 1,000 micrometers in a millimeter. So actually, I did that wrong. I just started writing without thinking. So 1,000 micrometers equals 1 millimeter. Do you agree? So what would that be for a conversion factor? How would I turn that into a conversion factor?
1,000 times 3.
Not times. What I would do is I'd put 1,000 micrometers over 1 millimeter. Isn't that equal to 1? Why? Because they're equal, right? This is my conversion factor right here, right? This is what I'm going to multiply by to get the number I want, just like Ms. Simpson taught you, just like I taught you, right? All right, so if I have, what did I say in the problem? If I have 3 micrometers, so let's go ahead and put 3 micrometers. And I want to know how many millimeters is that? What do I have to do? I'm going to multiply times the conversion factor. What do I want on the bottom? No, what do I want? No, forget the number for a second. What units? What units?
Oh, you want millimeters.
I want millimeters on the bottom? Okay, let's do that. What goes on the top then? Micrometers. Does millimeters cancel? Can I cancel millimeters? No, I can't, because look, they're not across from each other, are they?
No.
So we got a problem. How can I fix it?
You put the millimeters on top.
Put millimeters on top. And what do I put on the bottom?
Micrometers.
You know what? I'm just going to leave it here so people see it. So this is wrong, right? So this is wrong. I can't do it this way. I can't put millimeters on the bottom, so that's wrong. Let me try doing it another way. So let's do it again. Let's say it's 3 micrometers over 1. I need to get what I need. Remember my rules. I put them up there for you. Well, I want to put what I want on the right, what I need, what I have on the left, right? So that's what I've done. What do I do for conversion? What am I putting on the bottom? Micrometers. Why am I putting micrometers on the bottom?
Because it's up there.
So you can cancel it. You see that?
Yeah.
Because that way when I go across, I can go, oh, look, I can get rid of micrometers. And what do I want? I have to put what I want on the top, so that's millimeters. Do you agree?
Yes.
Right.
Now, what goes in front of the micrometers in this case? From micrometers to millimeters. What is it? Micrometers is 1,000. Do you see it? Here it is. 1,000. There's 1,000 right in front of the micrometers. What goes in front of the millimeters?
1.
1. So I take 3 and divide it by 1,000. What do I get?
That's what's confusing. You get 0.003.
All right. So now, there's 2 ways you can do this. The easy way is to get your calculator out, put 3 divided by 1,000. And what you'll get is 0.003. Okay?
So we don't have to put 0 on the test.
Oh, the first 0? Yes, you should put it first 0 on a test. But I'm more concerned that you understand this canceling method. Now, the other way you can do it is if I'm dividing by 1,000, I got to move the decimal how many places? 3 spots, 3 zeros. 3 zeros means 3 places. 1 0 means 1 place. 2 zeros means 2 places. Got it? So here's the 3. There's a decimal. Isn't 3 equal to 3.0? Isn't that the same?
Yeah.
All right. So now that we know that's the same, what can I do? Can I take 3 and then move the decimal 3 times? Are you okay with me doing that? And I would move it to the left. That's right, because I'm dividing. If I were multiplying, I'd move it to the right.
Right.
So there's 1, 2, 3. So that's every space is a 0, and that's how I got 003. Now, on a calculator, it'll say 003 because of what we call significant digits. But I'm not worrying about significant digits. I just think if you know how to cancel and move along, you'll understand how to convert numbers, and I think you'll be good in a good place. You'll cover significant digits in chemistry. Yeah.
You teaching about the math things you told me what, and I see what I had got.
You want to see your answers? Yeah, you can have your answers. I have pictures of all your answers. If you want to take your, the only reason I want to have, since I have to regrade them, you can actually keep your answers. I got them all scanned, so.
Wait, can you do another,
Go and get your own, yeah. You want another example of these?
yeah, but like use different numbers.
Yeah, sure. Pick a number.
Can you write me a test for 2,000?
For cheerleading, yeah. Do you need me to write it right now? Are you leaving right now?
I can't
Okay.
wait.
Whatever you want. I want to make everybody happy. So they want, okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Pick a number. Just say 1,500 what? Micrometers? Equals how many millimeters? Well, to answer that, we have to start with what's our conversion factor. I don't have to redo it. You have it in the notes. So let's just say we know that 1 millimeter, oh, I love to do that, don't I? 1 millimeter equals 1,000 micrometers. We know that from our notes and from the previous problem. So that's our conversion factor. So we have 1,500 micrometers. How do we get, what do we multiply by to get rid of micrometers and to get millimeters? Oh, I can't believe it combined that. What,
So you said micrometers on bottom and then millimeters on top?
that's our conversion factor.
Oh.
Now, which one are we multiplying by? Are we multiplying times 1 millimeter over a micrometer or 1,000 micrometers over a millimeter? Well, it all depends. What is it we want? We want millimeters. So what do we want to cancel then? The micrometers. So what has to go on the bottom? Micrometers. Has to go on the bottom. And millimeters on top. So how many go in front of the micrometers? What number? 1,000. And what goes in front of millimeters?
Wait,
So divided 1,500 by 1,000 is what?
What is it?
1,510.
You can know, you know this. Move the decimal, 1,500. Hey, move the decimal 3 times. 1, 2, 3. 1,500 divided by 1,000 is what? 1.5. And you can say 0, 0 if you want, but we're not, I'm not really gonna care about that.
Because the two M's like that, they, like, is there another way you can write?
What?
Because they both say MM, so it confused me on which is which.
This is not MM. It looks like MM, but it's micro.
Oh, that's
so-
that ugly U, right?
Yeah, that ugly weird U that looks, it looks like an M, but there's nothing I can do about it. That's what micro is.
Oh,
So you have to be careful. It's a Greek letter.
On here, you spelled it out.
Yeah, you could, I could write micro. Maybe that's what I'll do on the test. I'll write the word micrometer, like micro M or something. But really, you got to get used to this weird M, weird U that looks like an M. It's a Greek letter. It's a U. It's a U. It's a U that's a special U. It's actually not a U or an M. It's a Greek letter. It's called. So it looks like this.
Is it in you?
It's called mu. Yeah. So it's an M and a U.
you go with this.
The cell types, the cell structure.
Yeah, this structure.
You want to go? You want to know what the organelles are in each one?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me pause it and write a pass. Okay. So it's an interesting question. I want you to repeat it. Go ahead and ask it again.
Okay, you said a plant cell is eukaryotic. How does it have a cell wall?
So how do eukaryotic cells have cell walls? May I have your the cell project that we started all like we spent a week on it, right? And the very first thing that you saw was this thing, types of living things, right? On page 70. Please take this. And look, I want you to do this for homework tonight. Look at eukaryotic cells and tell me how many of these have cell walls. So let me say this. When you're talking about eukaryotic cells, how many different kinds of eukaryotic cells are there? Name them, the different types that we talked about. One, give me one.
We have protista.
Protists, which are what?
They eukaryotic. They not.
Well, they're eukaryotic, that's right. They're not plants, that's right. But they're eukaryotic, they're not animals, that's right, good. Are they are they single-celled organisms? What are they?
Single cell. mainly
Single cell. Yeah, single cell. Do they have cell walls?
Protista?
Yeah.
No.
No? Give me this. So protista don't have cell walls. So if you look on page 73, right in front of you, right? That's the whole page on unicellular organisms called protista. Some are autotrophs, some are heterotrophs, right? Some have what?
Oh, some got cell walls.
Some have cell walls and some don't have cell walls. So some have cell walls. It's one of the things that makes it difficult to classify Protista. That's why we put them in this like big broad group. But they have some do have cell walls. Single-celled organisms, they have cell walls. They're eukaryotes, right? What's another group from the first page that you did on the project that discuss, what's another group
Fungi.
that are eukaryotic cells? Fungi. What, do fungi have cell walls?
I'm not sure.
Well, something you should know, right? From last week, a whole day we spent on it. Yes, they have cell walls. They absolutely do. 3, what's another one of eukaryotic cells? Animal cells. Do animal cells have cell walls?
No.
So animal cells are actually the only one that definitely don't have cell walls. No cell walls. And what's the 4th type of eukaryotic cell?
Plant cell.
Plant cells. And do they have cell walls?
Yeah.
Right. All right, so they have cell walls. Now, what about prokaryotic?
Bacteria and archaea, something like that.
That's right, archaea. So prokaryotic are bacteria and archaea. It's actually archaea, or archae. Right? Do they have cell walls?
I'm not sure.
They do. They have cell walls. Look, if you want to know, look at bacteria and find a prokaryote in there, and what you'll see is prokaryotes do have cell walls.
What does that say?
If you archaea, I pronounce it archaea, but whatever. Archaea bacteria. Now take a look at this prokaryotic cell. You have nucleus, no nucleus, but do you have DNA? Yes, you have DNA. They have, the purple is DNA. They do have DNA, but it's just not in the nucleus. You see here, all the DNA, or most of the DNA is here in the nucleus. Okay? And then you have all these weird organelles out here, all kinds of organelles. This is a eukaryotic cell. They have membrane-bound organelles. Prokaryotes don't have any membrane-bound organelles. In other words, they don't have organelles they require membranes. What kind of organelles would require membranes? Mitochondria, chloroplasts, those require membranes, right? So chloroplasts, mitochondria, Golgi body, vacuoles, endoplasmic reticulum, rough and smooth, the nucleoplasm, the nucleus in general, right? The central vacuole, the lysosome. A plant cell has lysosomes. I don't know why people said, no, it doesn't matter.
Don't they have cytoplasm too?
They have peroxisomes as well. Huh?
Don't they have cytoplasm?
This whole cytoplasm is the liquid part that's inside the cell, yeah. Are we all good with this? So what has cell walls, what doesn't? There it is. If you look at that picture of the cell in the test, in the practice test, look at it. It looks like this stuff, doesn't it? You have a nucleus, you have the ball, you have the different organelles. So these are membrane bound. They have membranes. And here's an actual picture, electron micrograph picture of it, of this cell. It's actually stained. I'm not sure what kind of picture this is. This might be phase contrast, actually, not electron.
Membrane is the same thing, right?
Say what?
Cell membrane.
Cell membrane. A membrane could be inside the cell or it could be the cell membrane. Cell membrane is the membrane that's on the outside of the cell. Is what separates outside from inside. So it's like a house has an outer wall, right? But there's walls inside a house too, aren't there?
Right.
So the outside wall is the cell membrane. The inside wall, that's the rooms, right? The membranes that divide the inside into rooms is still a membrane. It's just not the cell membrane or the plasma membrane.
Oh, that's what you're talking about, like the little, this is shaft, and then like the bigger house.
That's right. So this is the shack. Notice there's only one room. It's a single cell, so it's one house, and it's also one room. A plant is made of more than one house, right? An animal is made of more than one house, right? But also has many rooms in each house. where a single-cell prokaryote has only one room in the house and there's only one house. A protist has many rooms in the house, but it only has one house. Does that make sense? All right. Are we good with all that? All right. So that's it for the review. I'll post it tonight. Good luck. Make sure you use that practice test as your guide. Have a good one.